Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Now let's give a warm welcome to our main speaker, Father Leo.
Hey everybody, my name's Leo and I'm an alcoholic. It's absolutely great to be here at Malibu. You all look so fresh. I saw you some years ago when I was here, and you look better. Can you believe it? Annie, I want to thank you. Okay, it was a lovely share. And all of us in our own different ways and touch people's lives. As you probably know, when I introduce myself, I'll say to you, I'm Leo Booth. I'm not a reverend or a father, I'm an alcoholic. This is not a religious group. If it was a religious group, I'm sure many of us wouldn't be here. It's a spiritual. There's many paths. And I say this to all of us. I know many people who are religious and spiritual, but I also know a lot of spiritual people who are not religious. Somebody said it. They said it. Religion is man-made. Spirituality is God-given. Religion has separated people for far too long. And spirituality teaches the world to hold hands. So for me to be able to share with you this evening is a privilege. I spend a lot of time traveling, I spend a lot of time going over, I work in the treatment business, I work in the treatment field. That's what probably 2/3 of my life is spent doing. Recently I was on an aeroplane and the lady next to me, I was dressed very casual. Sometimes I like to be casual. You know, jeans, t-shirt. We got talking because we like to talk. And she said to me, I'll always remember it, she said to me, "What do you do?" She said it twice. "What do you do?" I said, "Guess." She said, "You're a hairdresser." I said, "Close." It's very close. A lot of people talk to hairdressers, but it's one of the most important things. One of the most important things for me is to be able to basically celebrate this evening. I hope you all are going to have some fun tonight. We didn't come here to be miserable. I remember once speaking to my Episcopal church and I said, "Are you happy?" They didn't know. They turned to one another and said, "Are we happy? Are we happy?" And one of them said, "We're happy." I said, "Tell your face." Your face doesn't know. Malibu, Saturday night, hey, are you happy? Are you really happy? Oh, good. That's beautiful. And of course, there's a certain stage part of that, but on one level it's also very, very true. This spiritual thing, this recovery for me has been incredible. Some of you may have realized by now I'm not from Ohio. I got sober in England. And by the way, I often say it, I'm not the only Englishman who had an alcohol problem. There's a lovely story about Winston Churchill one time. Winston was supposed to be a heavy drinker. One time Winston Churchill was drinking, and he was sitting at dinner with Lady Astor. And Lady Astor turned to Winston Churchill. She said, Winnie, you're drunk. And Winston Churchill, in his inimitable way, said, Madam, you are ugly. But I shall wake up sober in the morning. She was quick to say to him, oh, she was quick. She says, Winnie, if I was your wife, I'd put poison in your soup. Madam, if you were my husband, your husband, I'd drink it. I don't know how that didn't come out very well. Sorry about that. You know the gist. You knew where it was going. By the way, do we have any Al-Anons here? Don't be shy. You never used to be. It's very good. I got a story about an Al-Anon. It's an Al-Anon who had 7 years. How many years did she have? 7. How many? 7. She married badly. She married a very old-fashioned man. And on their wedding night, they went to the bedroom. And the man, he took off his trousers and he threw his trousers in the middle of the bedroom. He says, wife, get into those trousers. She said, I can't get into those trousers. He said, no, don't forget who wears the trousers in this marriage. But she has how many years in Al-Anon? 7. How many? 7. She did no more. She took off her panties. And she threw her panties in the middle of the bedroom. She said, husband, get into those panties. He says, I can't get into those panties. She says, no, and you won't until you change your attitude. Some of you may be thinking, what's spirituality to do with panties? Everything. But you know, time's going to go very quick. It's going to go very quick because that's what time does. Before you know where we are, we'll be out of here. Because as you probably know, the second speaker here at the Malibu Club finishes at 9:25. I have to go back to Long Beach, of course. It's where I live. It's took me quite a while to get here, but I just love being here with you. I come to Malibu very often anyway, because I work at the Renaissance treatment program, and I'm very pleased that there are so many patients that are here from the Renaissance program. Treatment is wonderful, but we also need Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous saved my life. There are some people who are here who are sober, who came straight to AA. And there are some of us who needed some treatment. I needed some treatment. Just for you to know, I was 3 months in a treatment center and 6 months in a recovery home in England. That's 9 months. It's a pregnancy. Think about it. But look what was born. And I say that because it's true. I didn't like myself when I came into AA. Today, I'm beginning to love and respect myself. Only then do I believe you can have a relationship with another person. But it started for me a long time ago. Started for me when I was at a boys' school. In England, it's called a public school. I was sent to a public school in England. In England, a public school is a school that's not open to the public. English people are just funny. What can I say? And at this boys' school that I went to, that we were given beer to drink, and it wasn't so much that I liked the taste, but I liked how I felt when I drank. Now, how many times do you hear, I liked how I felt when I drank? I'm 5'7", 5'8" on a very good day. But when I drank, I felt 6'2". I had a stutter. When I drank, I lost the stutter. I thought I'd found a friend. And this friend was going to be with me. And nobody referred to alcohol as a drug. Even today, we tend to talk about drug addiction and alcoholism. I happen to believe this is one of the most dangerous drugs on the planet. But I went through universities, like many of you. I went through universities, except mine were in England, and then I was let loose on a church. And just like you, I wanted to drink, and I needed an excuse. And I said to the other priests that the lost and the lonely, those sheep without a shepherd, they need me. They need me. And I know where they are. They're all in the bar. And I'll tell you, if you walk into a bar dressed like a priest, people notice you. People say, look, there's a penguin at the end of the bar. And walking oil slicks just come in. Everybody wants to talk to a priest, even if they don't like you. They come over. These people said to me things like, you're the kind of priest we like. You drink like we drink. You smoke like we smoke. You throw up like we throw up. People started to come to my church. I'm serious. My church was full of alcoholics. People came to see what I was going to do. Because I didn't know. I remember once doing a funeral, drunk. I followed the coffin into the hole. I tell you, it's real scary when you hear the amens coming from above. But it was an Irish funeral. Nobody noticed. Then somebody said, look, there's a priest in a hole. It's full of dirt. They pulled me out. We carried on. It's kind of like that's what priests do. They find a hole, go straight down. Nobody said anything to me about it. You want to know why most of you are here? Most of you are here because somebody said something. Maybe a father, maybe a lover, maybe a friend. Somebody said something. Nowadays we style it intervention, but it's when somebody cares enough to say something. Nobody said anything. So guess what? I carried on. Because nobody said anything. And because I've always said it, I've said it, I've always said it. I keep saying it. That's why I've always said it. That if you're an alcoholic and you drive a truck, there's going to be times you're drunk in the truck. If you're an alcoholic and a nurse, there's going to be times you're drunk in the hospital. If you're an alcoholic and you're a minister or a priest, you're going to be drunk doing the services. Well, you heard about the funeral. The next one was a baptism. And I'm telling you, it was big. It was a big baptism. Some people flew in. It was big. We're talking big. B-I-G-G-E. Big. And I'd been drinking, but I wasn't drunk. But I was mellow. You know when you're mellow? Give me the baby. Give me it. I baptized the baby in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Daphne. I didn't ask anybody. Daphne. The mother, she let loose such a scream. She said, Father Leo, it's a little boy. So I don't care what the hell it is, it's Daphne now. She said, is there anything we can do about it? I said, no. Forever and a day, he will be called Daphne. How you make amends to a thing like that? This mother, she didn't say nothing. She wrote a letter to the bishop. Now, a bishop's an employer dressed in purple. So the next day I got a telephone call from the bishop. He said, Booth, it's my name. I said, yes. He says, the bishop, I want to see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Put the phone down. So I thought to myself, why does a bishop want to see me? Because I'm an alcoholic. It was the other day that we did the baptism. We move on. We don't stay stuck in a day. Smooth. Why does the bishop want to see me? Then I got it. Promotion. I go to see the bishop, and the bishop says, I've got a letter. I said, good. He says, are you sick? Are you demented? Are you having a nervous breakdown? And then he looked at me straight in the eyes. He was a small man. He looked at me straight in the eyes, and he said, have you been drinking? Now see if you can identify with this. Who? Me? I swear on the Bible. But he couldn't prove it. Have you ever been in that kind of situation when you know you're telling a lie and you know that they know, but they can't prove it? This was 28 years ago. 28 years ago in England. Do you know what that bishop said to me? He didn't tell me to go to AA. He didn't tell me to go into a treatment center. He didn't even recommend a therapist. Do you know what he said to me? I remember, he said, quit it. Quit it. You want to know a funny thing in Malibu on Saturday night? I quit it for 6 months. Cunning, baffling, powerful, patient. This is a disease that can wait. I wasn't sober, I was dry. There's a big difference between sober and dry. For 6 months I didn't drink, but I wasn't sober. I was dry, like a dry leaf. You put any pressure on a dry leaf, it snaps. It breaks. And you meet dry people all over the place. There could be some here tonight. Dry people find fault. You can find fault with the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. You can find fault with the 12 steps. We know it's not Shakespeare. You can find fault with the sponsor. You can find fault with the speaker. You want to find fault? My God, you can find fault. We've already said none of us are perfect. Why be surprised then if you experience that? But dry people, I remember once going to an AA convention in Texas. The guy who picked me up, he had 2 years, but I'm convinced he was dry. When the lights turned to red, he went, God, I hate it when they do that. I said, don't worry, they'll change back. Only be a few seconds. Let me tell you, because a lot of new people here. A lot of new people here tonight. Sobriety is being supple. Stop. You live and let live. Dry, you snap. We have to learn to live with each other. There's no one way to read the book of Alcoholics Anonymous. There's no one way to share the story. There's different ways of understanding the insights of the 12 steps. That's why we need each other. Different strokes for different folks. And at some level, everybody who's here knows what I'm saying to be true. You've heard many speakers at this famous meeting in Malibu. All of them bring their own style and their own personality and their own you. If there was one way of saying it, we'd be bored. You know that and I know that. This is a living spiritual movement, and it will grow as more and more new people bring their insights into what this program is about. Dry is what it says. Dry, narrow, rigid. You don't bend. When you talk about sober, it's the ability to live with people who are different from ourselves. For 6 months I was dry. For 6 months I was dry, and I was lonely, and I was lost, and I was angry. I wasn't drinking. But you see, I didn't have you. And I was really, really pissed at the world, pissed at myself, because you know as well as I do, I wanted to drink. And it was only a matter of time. Some people have been dry for years. After about 6 months, I was invited to a girl's 21st birthday party. I went there, and at one of these anonymous, God creates this anonymous, a meeting or coincidence. I had a coincidence, and there was this woman, and she said, "I knew you in Brighton, in Sussex." I said, "Really?" She says, "Yes." She said, "What would you like to drink?" I was drinking 7-Up. I was fizzed out on 7-Up. And she said, "No." She said, "I remember." She says, "I'm not going to get you a 7-Up." She says, "I remember. You're a gin and tonic man." If I remember, a large gin and tonic. She said, "Would you like me to get you one?" I kid you not, just like that, just. I says, "Okay." Hey, you want to know another funny thing at Malibu Saturday night, AA, 8 o'clock meeting? I had that one drink and I went home. I didn't have 2, 3, 4, cunning, baffling, powerful, patient. Because the funniest thing was, I left a watch at the restroom. I went to wash my hands. I'm a clean boy. I left the watch. When I woke up next morning, one drink. Where's my watch? Where's my watch? Left it at the hotel. Go to the hotel. Same barman who was there at the party. He says to me, "I found your watch." And he says, "Have one for the road." Remember last night? One drink. Went home. That time, I took the drink, and I tell you, the lion was disturbed. Oh. I had one drink, then another. Yes, have another, yes. And then I went to another bar, and another bar, and another bar. And by 3 o'clock in England, they stopped serving at 3. At 3 o'clock in those times, 3 o'clock, I was as drunk as a skunk. And I'm trying to drive home. And my car hits a tree, hits a lamppost. This is the 3rd of July, 1977. The 4th of July is my sobriety birthday. This 4th of July, I will celebrate 28 years. 3rd of July, thank you. So, No. So, my car hits the tree, hits the lamppost, and my car shoots up like a rocket. The car shoots like that. And two old ladies in a garden in England said, look, there goes Father Leo. That's how he travels now. Hey, I didn't stay up there. Crash, bang, wall up. You may be people who come over and say hello afterwards. You ask me to turn around and you'll see I've got about 12 stitches in the back of my head here. I went through the windscreen and I'm lying on the side of the road. And God gave me a moment. Now, I don't care what you call it. I'm telling you what I call it is a moment when you see yourself. In everybody's life who's here tonight, there is a moment when you see yourself, and you see yourself, not your mother, not your father. I saw myself bleeding. I saw myself. This is not the man I want to be. This is not the way I want to die. Is a moment. For some of you here, it may have been a car crash. For some of you, you woke up in a jail and you know you're not a criminal. Some of you here are mothers and you love your kid. And don't let anybody say you don't love your children, but your children don't want to know you. Sons and daughters who are here, you love your mother too. You love your father, but you made them cry, and you've made them cry. And the years that should be the years of their bliss are years of tears. There's many moments in this room. Some of you even hit and use violence to the very people that you love. I had my moment on that car crash on the 3rd of July, and I'll tell you, that was the beginning of my journey, because I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. Because the treatment center, a little bit like what we do here at Renaissance, send the people. And I went to AA. And when I was at AA, I'm not somebody who didn't like AA, because a Jewish lady who was somebody who had survived the Nazi years in the Holocaust, and she had a number on her arm. Now she's Jewish, she's a woman, and she's sharing, and she shares her story of alcoholism. And I'm sitting there at the front. No religion, no sex connect, nothing. And yet she told my story. I knew I'd come home. I don't care how religious you are or what church you go to, there is nothing that touches alcoholics like Alcoholics Anonymous. I have no other home. This is my home. Somebody said to me when I was outside, "You nervous to speak in such a group?" Of course not. Why would I be nervous of you? You never hurt me. There's nobody in this room who has hurt me. There's only one person who ever hurt me, and his name is Leo. I don't know about you, but I was the biggest single problem in my life. And if I was the biggest single problem in my life, I can be the solution if I place my hand in the hand of God. Now, you heard me say it at the beginning, I can't make it more clear to you. You do not have to be religious at all to be spiritual. We have artists here, writers here, painters here, who understand about spirit and energy. And some of us have found our way back to our beliefs. Different strokes for different folks. And when you go to Alcoholics Anonymous like we're here tonight, you hear about the 12 steps. It's the 12 steps. Steps. Nobody ever says, "Peter, come up and read the 12 standstills." It's steps. In other words, we should be moving. We should be growing, moving. We keep moving. Some people seem to think that God is going to control your lives. That's not going to happen. Some people seem to think if only they give their life to God, everything's going to be fine. You need to also find yourself. Can you imagine saying, God, take my life. Take my life. God says, no. God says, no. Live your life. Live your life. There will be, and somebody said it here, one of the birthday people, you will lose maybe friends to AIDS. You will have a divorce. Maybe the job doesn't work out. Some people, financial challenges. As Rabbi Kushner eloquently wrote in his book, Bad Things Happen to Good People. We hear about sobriety. We're not here about finance. We're not here about therapy. We're not here about it. The last thing you want is for 12-step people to be doing therapy on each other. Good God. That's the last thing we need. It's a support program. And it's about alcoholism. And by the way, I have found the spiritual awakening for me is not only that I can love, but that I am lovable. I can allow people in to love me. I started Catholic and was educated by the Jesuits. I moved and was for over 28 years an Episcopal priest. I have now moved to another group called the Unity Church, which is for everybody. Why? That's my journey. Still people refer to me as Father Leo, but you know as well as I do, I want you to call me Leo. You see, it's my name. And I believe that my journey is not ended. I came from England to live in America. I have traveled all throughout the United States, and I do not believe I have finished with this world yet. We've only just begun. We've only just begun. And out of respect to this committee that invited me and to all of you, I want to draw my sharing to a close. I told you it goes quick. I was speaking in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was a lot of people there. It was like a convention. And the people there stand in line say hello. And this young man came up to me, and his name was David. He was 17 years old. He was an alcoholic and a crack addict, and he shook my hand like only a crack addict can shake your hand. He shook my hand. I tell you, wow. He says, my name's David. I'm an alcoholic and a drug. I said, hi, David. I said, I loved what you said about the moment. I said, did you have a car crash, David? He said, no, but I loved what you said about the moment, because he said, do you think that God can speak to you through a song? Oh, I said, David, yes. Sometimes God speaks through a church or a synagogue, a poet, a movie, sometimes through a song. He said, because I was going to go out to get some crack, and I had a drunk again. He said, I'd heard this song before, but I'd never listened to it. I'd never really listened to it. And I said, what was the song? He said, well, the song was sung by the Beatles. But he said, when you talked about the moment that led you to treatment and recovery, he says, I remember this song. I said, what were the words of the song, David? He said, the words of the song that brought me to my knees were these. When I was a young man, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody's help in any way. But now those days have gone. I'm not so self-assured. Now I find I've changed my mind, and I've opened up the door. So help me if you can. I'm feeling down, and I do appreciate you being around. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please, please, help me? And he said, Leo, there was help for me. I says, I know, David, because some years before, there was help for me too. If you came here tonight for help, there surely is help. If you put your addiction and your alcoholism at the forefront of your life, then there will be boundless blessings for you. We've only just begun. We've only just begun. You will live again like you've never lived before. You will love again, and you will find yourself to love like you've never, ever loved before. And maybe the most important quality of all, today we can laugh again. Laugh like we've never laughed before. May your God bless you. Amen.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.